For centuries, the Galactic Council had governed the known universe with order, logic, and the belief that peace was achieved through control. Worlds obeyed, fleets aligned, and voices of dissent were silenced beneath the weight of protocol. Every species understood its place in the grand design. Then humanity arrived, and the order began to tremble. At first, the Council dismissed them as insignificant. A minor species from a volatile world, a so-called death world whose environment had supposedly shaped them into stubborn, short-lived creatures. Their planet was wild, their instincts primitive, their minds dangerous. The Council's analysts cataloged them as a low-tier civilization, barely worthy of attention. Yet within a few short cycles, their small blue world was making waves across sectors no one had ever expected. Humans did not just adapt, they thrived where no other species could. Planets declared uninhabitable became colonies. Frozen moons became mining centers. Toxic worlds that melted alien metal saw human-built structures standing firm. They bent the laws of survival as if those laws were only suggestions. It fascinated some, terrified others, and angered the Council most of all. The turning point came with the Treaty of Vexa Prime. The Council had forbidden weaponization beyond orbit-range mass drivers, a rule that had prevented any one species from achieving dominance. Yet rumors spread of a human shipyard producing vessels with forbidden cores, reactors capable of generating gravitational weapons. The Council demanded inspections. Humanity agreed. What followed would be remembered forever. The delegation arrived at Earth under a canopy of satellites that glimmered like stars. To the aliens, it looked like a primitive world hiding behind a veil of metal teeth. The lead inspector, a towering being from the Auric Dominion, stepped off his shuttle and immediately noticed something unsettling. The humans stood unarmed but unafraid. Their expressions were calm, unreadable, as if they were the ones doing the inspection. "Your compliance is appreciated," the inspector said in a voice that echoed through the hall. "We will examine your shipyard facilities." The human envoy nodded once. "Of course. You'll find everything you're looking for." The tour was smooth. Too smooth. The inspectors saw rows of ships, their hulls gleaming in the artificial light, their engines dormant. No weapons, no reactors. No evidence of the rumor that had reached the Council's ears. And yet the Auric leader couldn't shake the unease growing in his chest. Every human technician's glance seemed to carry a quiet defiance, as if daring them to look deeper. But the inspectors didn't dare press further. They left with confusion and frustration. Within a cycle, the Council declared the humans clear of suspicion. Yet whispers persisted, something about the way the human ships moved in battle simulations, something about how they arrived in distant systems faster than light permits. Some said the humans were bending physics itself, but no one could prove it, until the day the rules broke. It began on the edge of the Luran expanse, where a human freighter convoy was attacked by privateers allegedly under the protection of a Council admiral. When the humans demanded justice, the Council delayed. It was under investigation, they said. It was an unfortunate misunderstanding. But the freighters had been destroyed, their crews gone, their transmissions filled with desperate final words. The galaxy watched as humanity's patience finally snapped. A single transmission left Earth. A calm voice, quiet but steady. "The Council has failed its duty. Humanity will act." The Council laughed at first. They had fleets that dwarfed entire human sectors. They had centuries of military history, countless allies. What could one young species do? Then the first human fleet arrived at the border of Council space. 30 ships, small, outdated by most standards. Yet the moment they moved, every sensor across the sector went dark. They called it the Erebus event. Council ships simply vanished from scanners. Communications cut off mid-word. When visuals returned minutes later, entire fleets were gone. Not destroyed, gone as though erased from reality. Only fragments of metal remained, floating silently through the void. Panic spread through the Council chambers. The Council convened an emergency session. "They are using forbidden technology," one delegate cried. "They are violating the treaty." But there was no response from Earth, only silence and the eerie reports of glowing trails seen across empty sectors, like the ghosts of ships traveling faster than light itself. Soon, more human fleets appeared. Not in groups, but one ship at a time, appearing inside enemy formations, cutting through vessels with weapons no one had ever seen. They called them rail arcs, Slugs of metal accelerated to fractions of light speed by magnetic fields so intense that nearby ships melted just from the energy discharge. No shields could withstand them. No countermeasures worked. Humanity was rewriting the laws of war. And then came the message that changed everything. From Earth, a broadcast was sent on every open frequency. The speaker was a human commander, calm and cold, standing before a burning horizon. "The Council's rules were made to keep us weak," he said. "But you forgot one thing. We come from a world where everything tries to kill us. We learn to fight storms, not to hide from them. We don't survive by following rules written by those afraid to bleed." The message ended, but its echo remained. The Council tried to retaliate. Massive fleets assembled at the Rindor line. 1,000 ships from 10 species, a wall of power never before seen. They waited for the humans to arrive. They did not have to wait long. Human vessels emerged one by one, silent and black against the stars. They did not fire immediately. Instead, they sent a signal to every ship in the formation. "We will not fire first," it said, "but we will finish it." For a moment, the Council forces hesitated. Then one captain, nervous and eager to end the human threat, fired. That single shot ignited the greatest disaster in the Council's history. The human response was instantaneous. Their ships vanished from every scanner, reappeared within the Council formation, and unleashed hell. Rail arcs tore through cruisers. Plasma fire vaporized flagships. Gravity weapons crushed frigates into dense metal spheres. Within minutes, the 1,000-ship armada was reduced to debris fields glowing like dying suns. Not one human ship was destroyed. When the battle reports reached the Council, disbelief turned to dread. "They have broken every law of war," one delegate whispered. "They have no restraint." Another replied, "They are Deathworlders. Restraint was never in their nature." But it was not destruction that made the galaxy remember that day. It was what happened after. The humans did not invade. They did not demand tribute or vengeance. They simply sent a single message once more. "We will not kneel again, but we will build something better. Join us if you have courage. Stay silent if you do not." That message shattered the Council's authority more completely than any weapon could. Worlds that had lived under centuries of fear saw an alternative. Dozens of species defected within months. Some joined humanity's newly formed alliance, the Accord of Free Worlds. Others simply declared independence, emboldened by the idea that the Council could bleed. Yet among the ruins of power, there were still those who wanted revenge. The remaining Council factions gathered in secret. They built a new fleet, one meant not just to defeat humanity but to erase Earth itself. Their plan was simple, a full-scale bombardment using antimatter warheads. It was called Operation Silence. But when they launched it, they learned the final truth about what it meant to challenge a Deathworlder. The human defense network activated before the missiles reached halfway. Thousands of orbital cannons aligned in perfect precision. What followed was not a battle, it was a demonstration. The antimatter missiles were intercepted mid-flight, their detonation turned inward by gravitational lenses. The attackers vanished in their own fire. In the center of that chaos, human ships emerged, not from warp gates but from sheer will of technology no one else understood. They descended upon the Council's homeworld, not to destroy but to deliver a warning. The Council chamber was silent as the human envoy appeared on the broadcast once more. "We broke your rules because your rules were chains," he said. "We are not here to rule. We are here to remind you that life is not safe. Progress is not safe. Existence is not safe. We choose to face that truth." And then, without another word, the transmission ended. The human fleet turned away. They did not occupy the Council's world. They did not conquer it. They simply left it standing in silence, forcing every species to confront what they had witnessed. The day Deathworlders broke the rules, the galaxy learned fear, but it also learned respect. In the centuries that followed, stories of that day became legend. Children across worlds grew up hearing of the humans who faced the impossible and dared to defy the order of the stars. Some called them savages, others called them saviors, but all remembered the same lesson. The universe does not bend for comfort. It bends for those willing to push back. On a distant colony, long after the Council had faded into memory, an alien historian stood before a monument. It was a simple slab of stone, etched with words in dozens of languages. Beneath the human flag, one line was written, Rules are meant to guide the wise, not bind the brave. The historian touched the inscription, wondering how such fragile beings had changed everything. They had arrived as outsiders and left as architects of a new era. The galaxy was,